this video talks about a couple of issues that are related, at least in my own mind. But I think the fundamental issue I'm going to reflect on here is the middle-age mentality itself. Although I'm drawing on examples that ultimately relate to veganism, the digital vegan demi-monde, and activism. I had someone write to me the other day, someone who's a vegan here on YouTube, and she's going through some problems in her life, but nothing that reflects badly on her, nothing that's her fault. Problems that, from my perspective, are as morally neutral as getting into a car accident. Like, I don't think you're a bad person because you got into a car accident. And she said to me, look, I can't really talk to you now because I'm going through these problems. If you want to cut off communication with me, that's fine. I'll understand. Other vegans on YouTube already have cut off communication with me. I was shocked, and she actually named a couple people who had cut her off. And I was actually in the middle of the school day. I wrote her a quick answer, but this was sincere. I said to her, I wouldn't cut off communication with you if you had written to me saying that you just got a new job at a slaughterhouse cutting the throats of lambs every day. I wouldn't cut off communication with you if you just told me that you got a new job in the Special Department for Crimes Against Humanity in the American Army. You know what I mean? It's like, and some of these problems people go through, they're making this anonymous, not going to say, but I mean, the problems she's going through, they're not her fault. They're not ethical decisions. They're not loaded in the way that getting a job at a slaughterhouse would be. And I mean, some people, they've tried to make fun of me. I mean, I've said also, I was joking, but I've said also that if I got a new girlfriend, I wouldn't care if she worked in a slaughterhouse, this kind of thing. And that is partly me poking fun at myself because my whole life is one long morality lecture about veganism, in case you hadn't noticed. So you got to poke fun at yourself because you can't rely on others to poke fun at you. But I mean, pausing to reflect, why is that? Why would I say to someone, and again, sincerely, I still want to be your friend, I still want to know you, I still want to be in touch with you, I still want to work with you in terms of this nascent movement, these baby steps we're taking towards veganism being an important movement in the world. Why would I say that, even if somebody really did do something immoral like that, or get some kind of questionable job in a slaughterhouse in the army or something else? For me, part of it really is the contrast between the middle-age mentality and I guess the mentality that many of us in Western culture have coming out of the school system, coming out of high school. I think the other people who cut her off, the other people who said to this vegan, like, oh, this vegan who I'm leaving on, oh, like, you fucked up. You got some problems in your life, so fuck you. I don't want to talk to you anymore. To me, I think that really reflects a sense that's inculcated into us in the high school system, that every few months, you're forced into the company of a new room full of 40 plus people. You got new friends assigned to you, new people you have to work with. People are easily replaced. People are constantly being replaced. And of course, you're also told all the time that you're all equal. There's a very understandable social doctrine of equality that comes with government-based education. The sense that people are equal, interchangeable, not just easily found, but that their company is constantly being thrust on you. And in high school, this is my experience at least, you're constantly being put into work groups where 5 strangers, like 4 other kids you never talked to before, you're put together and now you got to do a school project. Right? Activism is not a school project. Very, very few jobs in the real world, once you leave school, reflect that kind of pattern of the school project, of people being thrust into each other's company. I think for me, part of my middle-age perspective on the world is just an appreciation that people are hard to find, irreplaceable, can't be substituted for one another, and whatever redeeming qualities that a person has, there's both good and bad to it. I think that my fundamental perspective is one of working with people as they are, not working with people as they should be. And the positive aspect of that is that what I've already mentioned is that I can imagine all kinds of people, and in real life there are all kinds of people. There are all kinds of people where you know bad things about them. They're a compulsive gambler. They're a former alcoholic. There's something wrong with them. There's something bad about them. But you got to ask yourself, is this someone I can work with? Is this someone I can cooperate with in the movement? Maybe the answer is yes. Maybe the answer is no. Maybe they have a diagnosed mental disorder, et cetera, et cetera. But you start off with this positive attitude of, I've got to work with people as they are, not as they should be. The negative aspect is, again, in contrast maybe to the attitudes you might have had in high school, or that I feel high school encourages to have, you stop judging people in terms of their aspirations. You stop judging people in terms of their potential. And you just start judging them in terms of who they already are, what they're already capable of, their current capacity, their current competence. So that really cuts both ways. I remember an interview. This is just, you guys know I listen to hip hop. It was just on hip hop media. It was a former hip hop artist, a female singer. And the interviewer is asking her about her love life. And she just said in the middle of this interview, I'm past the point where I judge people based on their potential. I judge people on, who they are, what they've already done, and not based on their hopes and dreams, not based on their potential, not based on their aspiration. And maybe that sounds good, but it's not. It's actually narrow-minded. And doubtless, a major part of the middle-age mentality is really a form of narrow-mindedness, But I got to say, for me, that's the ambivalence of it, and that's how it fits into, what I'm doing on YouTube and this long-term project that I see my YouTube channel as being, of making connections that can be useful for real activism, real advocacy, really building a foundation to make a difference in the world, real community, in some sense too, and real friends, real friendships. On the one hand, yeah, I was not joking when I said to that person, I would still accept you, I would still want to be friends with you, I'd still want to be in contact with you if you literally got a job in a slaughterhouse. And frankly, I'd want to know her perspective. I'd want to know what that's like. If she got some job in the military, I'd want to hear about that too. I think I'd be sympathetic. Maybe I'm wrong. maybe at some point I'd lose my sympathy and we'd stop talking. Life's full of surprises. That sense of working with people as they are, that's one side of it. But then on the other hand, there's you lose the openness to embracing somebody or working with somebody, not because of who they are, not because of what they've done, but just because of who they aspire to be. I think for most of us, when you get into your 30s, that disappears from your life. And that's an attitude that's pragmatic, but is maybe a little bit bleak. You don't want to be the guy who, when somebody sits down and talks to you, just scoffs at their dreams. But part of middle age, I think, is inevitably scoffing at the gap between people's pretensions and the reality of what they're doing with their lives. And just to give one example from, from my day-to-day experience here, I sat down with someone recently who said, she said she respects all sentient beings equally. She eats meat every day. She's not vegan. She's not vegetarian. That's why she said it, So there's something that's not looking forward to the future. There it's a gap between what you practice and what you preach, or your ideals and who you really are. Oh yeah, what does that mean? If you really have equal respect for cows and chickens and humans, I'd say I laughed right in her face. To me, that was actually hilarious, And if you meet someone and they're still really trying to sell you on their hopes and dreams and aspirations, their ideals projected into the future, it's hard. To quote an obscure rap song by Little B, a lot of people got potential, but who's really holding? Hey, that's it. Like all middle-aged people, I guess I try to have the best of both worlds. I guess really what I want is to have the flexibility and open-mindedness of the younger attitude, but also to have the demanding and more incisive perspective that I've gained at middle age.